Good morning, friends. Today we are going to discuss the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Myself, Dr. S.K. Sutrkar, Department of Pathology. Let us begin. So, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma can be defined as they are a group of heterogeneous group of B and T cell malignancies that are diverse in cellular origin, morphology, cytogenetics, and response to the treatment and their prognosis. So, there is a lot of diversion or diversity between these neoplastic lesions, and they basically originate from the B cell and the T cells. So most commonly these tumors they arise from B cells, and there are 85% of more than 85% of chances that the NHL may be of B cell origin. It is the sixth major cause worldwide. It is the sixth major cause of death, and the median age which suffers by these malignancies is around 40 to 70 years, and overall males are more affected as compared to the females. If we go through the classification for the NHL, these are the basically the commonest lesions which we have selected, and we can classify in this NHL into four important entities. The first entity is the precursor B cell, second is the peripheral B cell, and third is the precursor T cell, and fourth is the peripheral T cell. So these they can be grouped in T cell and P cells, and in the precursor B cell we can see a lesion that is called acute lymphoblastic lymphoma, or sometime it is also called as acute lymphoblastic leukemia. So these basically precursor B cells, these are the malignancy related to the bone marrow, and these cells basically they originate from the bone marrow, and this condition is called as acute lymphoblastic lymphoma or leukemia. We will discuss about this in the later slides. Another group is the peripheral B cell, and it is a wide group, and you can see that there are many neoplastic lesions in this category. The first one is the small lymphocytic lymphoma, or it is also called as chronic lymphocytic leukemia, because they arise from the mature B cells. So they may be produced as a solitary mass, so they are called as small lymphocytic lymphoma, or they may present in the circulation as a widespread, and there they are called as chronic lymphocytic leukemia, and they are one or the same entities. It is commonly seen in old ages basically. Another second entity is the mantle cell lymphoma, follicular lymphoma, marginal zone lymphoma, diffuse large B cell lymphoma, and Burkitt lymphoma. So these are the peripheral B cell neoplastic lesions. Coming to the T cells, it can be divided into two: the precursor T cell, and in this category we can see acute lymphoblastic lymphoma or oblique leukemia. So here the T cells they are affected. Second is the peripheral T cell, in which we can see the anaplastic large T cells lymphoma, peripheral T cell lymphomas, and mycosis fungoides. So these are the commonest lesions which we can see in the NHL group. So if we go through the origin of NHL, so they, as I said, there is a categories between the B cell and T cell. The first category is the precursor B cell neoplasm. They basically arise in the bone marrow. Here you can see in the left side the precursor B lymphoblastic lymphoma oblique leukemia, and there is a small lymphocytic lymphoma or chronic lymphocytic leukemia. They basically arise from the first one arise from the precursor B cells, whereas the second one, that is the small lymphocytic lymphoma or chronic lymphocytic leukemia. Here you can see the mature B cells in the circulation or in the solitary masses. So today we will discuss about these two lesions, And apart from that, on the right side we can see the precursor T lymphoblastic lymphoma oblique leukemia, and so we will concentrate on these two lesions only. The first one is the precursor B cell lymphoblastic lymphoma or leukemia, or precursor T cell lymphoblastic leukemia or lymphoma. They mimic in similarity. Most of the features they are similar in these both the conditions. So let us see the first entity. Before that, we can have the knowledge of B cell markers. So here we have described about the B cell markers. So the naive B cells, basically they are having they are CD19 positive, CD20 positive and CD5 positive. Whereas the B immunoblast, they are basically CD19, CD20 and surface immunoglobulin positive. Whereas B cell of the primary follicles, they are basically CD5 negative or positive. Apart from that, they are CD19 positive and CD20 positive. If you go through the plasma cells, these are CD19 negative, CD20 negative, CD38 positive, CD138 positive and surface immunoglobulins are positive. Apart from this, in the germinal center, the centroblast, they are positive for the CD19, CD20, CD10 and BCL6 positive and BCL2 negative and surface immunoglobulin negative. And the mature form centrocytes, we can see the markers CD19 positive, CD20 positive, CD10 positive, and they are BCL6 positive as well, and BCL2 negative, and surface immunoglobulin they are positive. Another cell is the memory B cell. Here we can see the CD19, they are CD19 positive, CD20 positive and BCL6 negative, BCL2 positive and surface immunoglobulin positive. So we can able to differentiate these cells on the basis of these markers. Now coming to the T cell markers, so here the T helper cells and T cytotoxic cells. The major difference between these two cells is the CD helper cells, they are CD4 positive, and the CD cytotoxic cells, they are CD8 positive. And apart from these, both they have the other surface molecules such as CD28, CD45, CD2, CD3 and the TCRs. And on the cytotoxic, the similar molecules they are also seen on the cytotoxic cells. Now coming to the first entity, that is B or T cell acute lymphoblastic leukemia oblique lymphoma. So leukemia, they are defined as basically the widespread of the neoplastic cells in the circulation, whereas the lymphoma, they form basically the solitary masses, and when they form the solitary masses, they are called as lymphomas. So these acute lymphoblastic lymphoma or leukemia, they are very aggressive in nature, and basically they arise from the bone marrow precursors B cells and precursor T cell. These T cells precursors are basically from the thymic origin, as we have discussed in the classification, and they are commonly seen in the children's, as well as the category T acute lymphoblastic leukemia, they are seen in the adults. So these are the features of this acute lymphoblastic leukemia oblique lymphoma. If we go through the morphology, the bone marrow is basically, it is hypercellular and packed with the lymphoblast, and these lymphoblasts basically they are having large nuclei and scanty basoflex cytoplasm. The nuclear chromatin is very delicate and finely stippled, and the nucleoli, they are basically they absent or inconspicuous. So these on the right side you can see the lymphoblast, and they are large cells, and they having delicate nuclear chromatin along with the stippled and scanty cytoplasm. And on the flow cytometry we can see these cells, they are in TDT positive. If we go through the immunophenotyping of these cells or these leukemias, we can see they are the TDT positive, that is terminal deoxynucleotide transferase. It is a specialized type of DNA polymerase, is positive in around 95% of cases. And the lymphoblast, basically they express the CD10, CD19 and transcriptional factor PAX5, which is required for the development of B cells. So these markers, they are also present on the lymphoblast. In the TALL, we can see the lymphoblast shows the positivity towards the CD1, CD2, CD5 and CD8 markers. If we go through the molecular mechanism, the B-ALL or B acute lymphoblastic leukemia shows structural and numerical chromosomal abnormalities. And in this we can see there may be hyperploidy, that means there is a presence of more than 50 chromosomes, or there may be hypoploidy, less than 46 chromosomes may be also seen. So this is one of the most important basically the molecular mechanism in which there is a change in the structural and numerical chromosomal abnormalities. Along with, we can see there is a loss of function of the mutation in the gene that is required for the B cell development, that is PAX5. In the T cell TALL, we can see the gain of function mutation in Notch1, a gene that is essential for the T cell development. So these two genes, basically the PAX5 and Notch1, they are basically defective in case of lymphoblastic leukemias. If we go through the clinical features, there is a abrupt stormy onset, and bone marrow basically it is suppressed, and the patient will have the features of anemia, neutropenia and thrombocytopenia. Because of that he experiences the weakness and prone to more infection, and there is a chances of bleeding. And there may be mass effect of the new infiltration of the neoplastic cells. So the patient may feel the bony pain, lymphadenopathy, splenomegaly and hepatomegaly. So these are the changes which are seen due to the infiltration of the neoplastic cells. In the CNS, patient may experience the headache, vomiting and nerve palsies. So these are the few clinical features which can see in this condition. If we go through the prognosis, around 95% of children obtain the complete remission. 75 to 80% basically they are cured. However, it is the leading cause of death in the children. The prognosis is basically decided on various factors. So the worst prognosis is seen when the age is less than 2 years, or when the presentation of the lesion is in adulthood. Second is when the blast count is more than 1 lakh cubic millimeter, and there is a presence of translocation 922 or Philadelphia chromosome. So these features will suggest that this condition will have the worst prognosis. On the other side, we can see the favorable prognosis is also there when the age is between 2 to 10 years. The blast count is very low basically, and there is a presence of hyperploidy, or there may be trisomy of the chromosome number 4, 7 and 10, and presence of translocation 12, 21. So these factors favors the prognosis, or they are having the good prognosis. Now coming to the second entity, that is chronic lymphoblastic leukemia or small lymphoblastic lymphoma. So as we said, leukemia is basically when the tumor cells they spread in the circulation, or there is a wide spread of these tumor cells. Whereas the lymphocytic lymphoma, they are the solitary masses formed due to the proliferation of these mature V cells, and there is a localized solitary type of growth we can see. So it is most common leukemia in the adult and old age. So the approximate of this condition is around more than the sixth decade of life, that is around 60 years and above that, and it constitutes around 4% of total NHL. So it is one of the most important condition of NHL group. And here we can see the male to female ratio, it is 2:1. So it is the male which are more sufferer by this condition. If we go through the morphology, we can see in the diagram as well, there is a diffuse effacement of the lymph node. The lymph node is basically packed by the small lymphocytes, and the size of these lymphocytes, small lymphocytes, are 6 to 12 microns in diameter, and there is a close packing of these monotonous cells is basically seen in case of in the lymph nodes. These cells are round regular nuclei with condensed chromatin and scanty cytoplasm. So this is the nuclear feature or description of the cell. So they are having round regular nuclei with condensed chromatin and scanty cytoplasm. Most of the time these cells, they are admixed with a variable number of large activated lymphocytes that often gather in the loose aggregates, and these loose aggregates, they are called as proliferation centers, which contain mitotically active cells. So these proliferation centers are basically they are pathognomic for the SLL and CLL. So here in the right side, in the microscopic view, we can see there is a presence of small lymphocytes along with intermixing of the large activated lymphoid cells. Now coming to the CLL, as we said, we can diagnose this condition in the blood smear as well. So here we can see the small lymphocytes which are having the condensed chromatin, and their counts is very high in the peripheral blood, and it may be around, it is more than around 1 lakh. And along with this we can see the a typical type of cell, they are called smudge cells, and these smudge cells are basically formed during the preparation of the smears, and they are very fragile cells. These delicate small lymphocyte cells, they are very fragile and delicate, and during the preparation, smear preparation, they are crushed out, and we can see they appear as a smudge cells or vascular cells. Along with this, we can see in this smear, and there is a presence of nucleated RBCs along with the spherocytosis. So the patient in this condition, patient will have autoimmune hemolytic type of anemia, and there is a lot of spherocytosis we can see in the examined smear along with the nucleated RBCs. If we go through the immunophenotype, these lymphomas, their cells basically they are positive for CD19 positive, CD20 positive, they are CD5 positive and CD23 positive, and there is a decreased level of surface immunoglobulins. So these are the immunophenotypic features of these SLL and CLL. If we go through the molecular mechanism, in this there is a deletion of the chromosome number 13 and 11, and there is a trisomy of the chromosome number 12, and in some cases we can see the features of somatic hypermutation, that means they originate from the post-germinal center memory B cells, and in some cases this somatic mutation is lacking, and we can say they originate from the naive B cells, and this when they originate from the naive B cells, they will have the bad prognosis. So the somatic hypermutation can be defined as it is a cellular mechanism by which the immune system adapt to new foreign elements that confront it and microbes as seen during the class switching. So in this somatic hypermutation, this is basically seen in the somatic cells, and this type of mutation is basically typically seen in the variable region of the surface molecules, and this provide the diversity to the surface molecules or surface immunoglobulins to adapt to various type of antigens or different type of antigens which are presented, and those cells which are having high affinity, they were selected for that particular antigen, and those cells which are having low affinity, they were deleted. And this type of somatic hypermutation is basically seen in the germinal center cells, follicles. If we go through the clinical features, the patient will have the fatigue, weight loss and anorexia, and apart from that the patient will have the lymphadenopathy, hepatomegaly, splenomegaly due to the neoplastic infiltration, and there may be disruption in the immune function, and the patient will have the hypogammaglobulinemia. Along this, you can see the patient will have autoimmune hemolytic anemia, features of autoimmune hemolytic anemia. So these will be the clinical features of this condition. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope this video will be beneficial for you. Thank you very much.